James Brayshaw and Billy Brownless. This is Triple M's Rush Hour. We're joined by one of our favourites, Andy Lee.
Our next guest has a new show, and it's back tonight on Channel 9.
Okay, 100. Who's an anti-vaxxer? Who's on Team Harry and Meghan? Do you think the Olympics should have gone ahead? The results are... Ariana Titmus just disagrees with you a smidgen.
Here to talk about the 100 and probably not Carlton. Please welcome Andy Lee.
Of course, we had the superstar in a couple of weeks ago,
did.
but we didn't cross off the 100 because it hadn't gone to air yet.
That's
So
right.
Now it
Yes.
has and it's dominating. Welcome to you, Andy Lee.
Nice to see you both. How are you?
Good, Andy. Tell us about the 100 because I turned it on thinking this would be good because it's just come in, cricket over there in England, but it's not the 100.
No, not cricket related. Was it still good though, Bill?
Yeah, it was okay. I just took a while to get to know it. For those who haven't seen it, Andy, just tell them what it's all about.
Too many numbers for you, I reckon, mate. The 100, basically, I've got 100 people live on Zoom that represent the cross-section of Australia, all age brackets, all regions, all demographics. And I can ask them anything and find out what Australia's thinking and feeling. And there's 3 comedy guests that they have to try and guess what Australia's feeling about a range of topics.
All right. An example of which,
Yes.
how many Australians have been arrested? I wasn't aware that you had been arrested.
Andy.
Yeah, I'm in the percentage that have been arrested. I think I was involved in a pub fight where I landed 0 blows,
Yes.
copped around about 35, and then ended up in the back of a divvy van. I think the reason why the police picked me is because I was the only person that they weren't scared of. Let's just grab him.
What was the percentage of that, by the way?
What the percentage? 12% of Australians have been arrested. Yes, doesn't mean they've been charged, just means they've been arrested. But another one that comes up tonight, and you guys have a guess at this, how many Australians do you think have joined the Mile High Club?
Well, it's if you're big, you got no chance.
Have a listen to that.
Well, no, as in fat, Jim, like
right.
me.
I was going to say.
Oh,
I
so-
hope that's what you meant.
Remember Sam on the footy show brought in a cubicle and tried to get in there and do it
Yep.
on live on air, and it was bloody hard. So I'd say only like 8%.
What is it?
15.
15.
15% have joined the Mile High Club.
Has the host?
Has the yes?
Oh, bang!
Oh, Andy, boy!
Yeah.
Gee,
good
It's
work.
one of the driving reasons I keep fit, Bill, because I don't want to get big enough to take it out of my repertoire.
Superb.
What about everyone's peed in the pool?
Oh,
that just happened.
I never don't pee in it.
Well,
I couldn't believe that 63% of us pee in the pool. That came up last week.
yeah.
Oh, well, those
you'll be-
Balinese bloody bars where you sit in the pool, what do you think
Yeah.
happens?
all day.
Exactly.
Like he's had 24 cans and he hadn't left the pool.
Yeah, no heating required for those pools. You go, oh, these heated, are they? No, not heating. So all that kind of stuff comes up. We tackle some other kind of more poignant questions. So people are you pro lockdown? Of course, that's huge for Melbourne over the last couple of days, and then we go for some of the more frivolous questions as well.
Right. What about who thought the Olympics should not have gone ahead? What was that? That'd be interesting because I reckon there's a few early days, but once it was on, we all loved it.
Yeah, we tackled this last week. 41% of Australians thought the Olympics shouldn't go ahead. That was polled just before the Olympics. Obviously, that surprised me. But again, for Triple M fans, 19% of Australians don't care about sport
What?
No.
at all.
That's not true.
No, Andy.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that hurtful?
Jeez,
That crushed me.
1 in
I-
5.
Almost 1 in 5. So basically, this is what the show is all about. We also bring out a celebrity, and we should get you to do this, Bill.
Yes.
Yeah, you should.
We sit them in front of the 100.
Yes.
I don't introduce them,
Oh.
and I go, "Do you know who this is?"
Oh, no.
And it's the most humbling experience it can be for anyone.
I wouldn't do that with Bill because outside of a very sort of
Victoria.
tiny Victorian market, no one's got a clue who he is.
Hey, Uncle Fester and all that. You imagine what had come up. Who was the celebrity last week and how did it go?
Anthony Field, the Wiggle.
Oh.
But I said that he wasn't allowed to come out with his skivvy on. And so he came out with the jacket on, and then I said, "Okay, take your jacket off." Does that jog everyone's memory? And then suddenly 95% of Australia knew who the Anthony Wiggle was.
Jeez. Outstanding in his field, he is.
Yeah. Oh, good, Bill.
Do you want me to write a few lines? Or
Mate, I should have you as a comedy panelist.
What about that?
now, how is Sydney up there, mate? How's it all going? I suppose.
They keep announcing that there's more restrictions coming in, but nothing changed. I think they also said Victoria, New South Wales, they're going into lockdown. So I thought that happened 6 or 7 weeks ago. But, it's look little lonely for me. I don't have Beck around, but I've kind of slipped back into the bachelor life pretty quickly, going to kind of bed whenever I want and watching a lot of 30 for 30s, to be honest.
SBS.
ESPN documentaries. So it's not all bad.
Speaking of which, 30 for 30 is a nice segue into sport, which is a nice segue into what's going on, please.
Carlton.
What? These 95 points.
Excellent.
Yeah, I had to do. I had a work call in the last quarter, and I'm like, we're kind of hanging in. At the start of the last quarter, and I came back from the zoo, and I couldn't believe it. 95 points.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's got to be one of the worst performances we've had for a very long time. I didn't bother going back and watching the last quarter, JB, and I thought I wouldn't put myself through that.
Here's a question for the 100. How shit are Carlton? 100%.
No, another 95-pointer, mate, I think.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it didn't kind of work out, particularly after we cracked in the first quarter. But I know those type of performances don't bode well when the coach discussion comes around. And, I've been standing by T, but I do remember flying to the Gold Coast, Brett Ratton's last game. Gold Coast were a lowly team at the time, and we just needed to win to make the 8. And we got done up there in the last game of the season, and that was the end of Brett Ratton back in the day. So he'd have that kind of feel about it.
There's a great meme doing the rounds at the minute.
Yep.
Remember your slogan back a few years ago? They know we're coming.
Yes.
And then at the bottom, don't suppose you've got an ETA on that, have you? How good's that, Tim? Have a look at that. How good.
Whilst we're talking about great memes, my old man, who doesn't normally wade into this area, sent me a really good one too. Speaking about you're in Sydney, of course, and we're here in Melbourne.
Yes.
This bloke, he goes by the name of former legend, but I've actually got no idea who he is, says 450, this was from last week, a Sydney bloke, 415 cases today. Surely we can get to 500 and declare just before lunch and put Victoria back in.
Not bad.
It's a great one. You know what? I think that must be circling in the old man community because I got that one from my dad.
Yeah, well,
and I couldn't believe that he'd worked out how to use how to use
That's
it.
exactly where I got it. My father,
Yeah,
who's 80 or nearly.
Yeah. Well, my old man's 73. He sent me pictures of. He goes, cleaning the gutters. And he sent me pictures of the gutters that were all full of leaves, and that's normally my role if I'm in the same state. And I'm not sure how you feel, Jim, but I was like, get the F off the roof.
Yes.
You're 70.
Oh.
You're not allowed to go up a step ladder anymore at your age.
No.
It's but it turns out he did have someone professional around to do it who was just sharing the pics with me. So I was happy with that.
That's better.
But there's got to be an age where, having a fall is a dangerous thing.
Yep.
And I think Bill's nearly getting there. I think Bill,
Well, I bounce up all right because you normally had a few frothies. I'd hate to have a fall if you weren't a drinker.
As we've been
Jim,
discussing off air, I've just tried to wrestle my bloody sons, and I've come off very badly.
You have.
Like, I tried to pile drive them, and all I did, Andy, was ding myself to the point where I look like I've been in a car
You
accident.
do. Huge bruise.
I would have paid per view for this, Jim. I would have watched the.
I'm going to show you, right? Because it's a couple of days old. But
So he's fighting his 2 young sons, by the way, the youngest ones.
16 and 14.
And they had the better of him. Look at this.
Oh,
Look at that.
my word!
That is a good bruise,
And
Jim.
the shoulder. Look at that.
Oh my gosh! That
I know.
is quite. Hamish and I jumped off a bridge in Bosnia that was 25 meters high, right?
Jesus.
Bosnia.
And we hit the water at around about 80 k's an hour. It was. Your bruise is worse. Than that.
I know. It's actually
That
embarrassing.
is-
Have a look at it.
is
Have a look at it.
you
I know.
look like Grimace from the McDonald's.
That's it. And the two gloating little bastards too are swaggering around the house going, "Oh, I wonder who came off second best." Oh, so I'm never doing it again.
No, you've got to post that. That is incredible.
The 100, by the way, is on tonight, 8:40 p.m. on the Nine Network. It's doing magnificent business. We
Yes,
can't
well
wait
done.
for Epps to keep flying in on that. And, of course, we'll see you
Sometime.
2023.
Yeah, mate, look forward to it.
And
Good
you
on
can
you.
catch Hamish and Andy on the Listener app anytime, anywhere as well. It's the Rush Hour. JB and Bill, Triple M.